Georgia has the third highest number of uninsured Americans in the country. Catastrophic. And so the Republican majority has looked at the state with the third highest number of uninsured Americans and said, that's what we want to model our Medicaid system after. This catastrophic failure in the dead of night at 2:38 in the morning.
That is AOC, again, as she said, very late at night, pointing out what the GOP is doing. They're trying to kill Medicaid. And you know how sure the right is that this will be a popular move when they're doing the hearing at 2:38 in the morning, literally in the dead of night, trying to kill a wildly popular and necessary plan. But while I have a lot to say about this, let's let her explain first the scam that the GOP is running here to justify this disastrous change.
I understand that the Republican majority wants the American public to be sold into accepting this by saying, you know what, we are secretly paying for Medicaid for every Venezuelan in the world, and that there are millions of 8-year-olds getting sex reassignment surgeries on Medicaid dime. And if we just take all of that, that will somehow make your Medicaid, cut that and make your Medicaid better. Sounds ridiculous because it is. This bill is cutting nearly $1 trillion in Medicaid spending overall. Why? Because down the hallway, they are trying to finance tax cuts for people who are inheriting $22 million houses.
She goes into a lot more detail, and it's definitely worth a watch. She posted it on her Twitter about how it seems utterly ridiculous that they're like, well, we just want to get rid of the waste and fraud. And she points out, well, then why do you have to cut it overall? Why don't you just keep the funding level current and just redirect that money to the deserving people? But they're not doing that. They're spending it on the tax cuts. And she said there, the $22 million thing. I thought at first she was making some sort of point about Marjorie Greene, who inherited a business and everything else, and she's worth tens of millions of dollars. That's not what she's doing. It's one of the most individually ridiculous tax cuts that the right is doing. Previously, as she describes, when you inherit a house, you don't have to pay taxes on it up to $11 million. And during the first Trump term, during their tax cuts, they said, that's not enough. I want it to be twice as much. No taxes on a house up to $22 million, which was good for a lot of working class families who routinely are devastated by the taxes on the $20 million homes that they inherit. And so if they don't re-up it, that will go away, and you'll only again be able to deduct up to the first $11 million. But no, they're saying it has to be $22 million tax-free. Man of the people. Populist, right-wing populism, $22 million, no taxes. And hey, if that means we gotta throw a bunch of people off of Medicaid, then so be it. We're men of the people. The issue is that the people actually showed up. There was a protest actually outside of that hearing, and a bunch of the protesters just got dragged away viciously. The right was not interested in hearing from these people. And by the way, I also just want to update. We gave out some numbers earlier this week. We've been doing a lot of coverage of Medicaid. It was estimated that up to, I think it was like 8.7 million people or something could end up being thrown off of Medicaid thanks to these cuts, so that Marjorie Greene doesn't have to pay taxes on her $15 million house or whatever. No, the new estimate is actually 9.7 to 14.4 million people. So we're now up to 16% of everyone on Medicaid could be cut thanks to this change. So Mark Zuckerberg gets a tax cut, so Elon Musk gets a tax cut, so Jeff Bezos gets a tax cut. That's what they're doing, and thank you to AOC for making sure people know about it. Sharon, what do you think?
And you know who's gonna pay when those nearly 15 million are cut? People are still gonna go. They're gonna go to emergency rooms, they're gonna get treatment. It'll be late, so their conditions will worsen unnecessarily, but we're all gonna pay, except maybe Zuckerberg and Green. We're going to have increased services and fees. Hospitals are gonna close, so we already have a lot of deserts here, food zones and hospital zones in Georgia. So if this is the model here, Georgia, where I live, buckle up. But I also think as you continue to do this devastation, and in such, like, you won't stop at anything. the pushback is going to get louder, and you're not gonna be able to drag everyone out. So we'll see. It's gonna be bigger and louder.
Yeah, and like I feel bad. Like I love that these people showed up to try to fight against this. I love that AOC is pointing it out, but I also know their right will stop at nothing to get this done. This is again. There's lots of stuff that the right will do. A lot of it to distract the peasants or whatever. There's only one thing they have to do, and they have to pay back the investment the rich made into getting them elected. And this is how you do it. Every time you elect a Republican president, you get trillions of dollars of tax cuts being given to the wealthiest people. That is an absolute guarantee. Take it to the bank. It's happened every single time in my life that we've elected a Republican. It always devastates the economy while also defunding necessary government services. I don't know why regular people keep voting for this over and over again. It's a fool me 8 times situation for many of these voters, but that's where we're at. And the best I think we can honestly hope for is to spook some Republicans into making it not as bad as it would otherwise be, and then make sure people know about it so we can devastate them in the midterms. And that's really at this point all that I'm honestly hoping for. But I want to let you know about one more aspect of this before we move on. And this makes it even wilder, the scam that's being pulled. Politico reported early Wednesday that, quote, after hours of debate, Republicans in unison voted down a Democratic amendment that would have required the Health and Human Services Secretary to certify that the GOP bill would not reduce any Medicaid benefits offered by states, pointing to President Donald Trump's repeated pledges to protect the program. So they literally said, you keep saying it's not gonna throw people off of Medicaid. Then let's just make sure that it doesn't do that. And they're like, no. that thing that we said, that thing that Trump said, no, we're not doing that. Shut up, get the hell out of here. And so it couldn't be more obvious. Any final thoughts?
No, I just think that this has to come to a head. And when and how, you're right about the Republicans, even before this MAGA craze. You just have to, they're not gonna stop themselves. Like you said, they're gonna stop at nothing. And this is a very scary time. I'm also worried about people like AOC, who beautifully explains things. She's intelligent based on her background, what she's been through as a young woman, what her own party does to her. Nobody does it better, I think. And that actually worries me for a myriad of reasons.
Yeah, no, 100%.
If you enjoyed that, then make sure that you never miss another video by subscribing. And if you want a little more, consider hitting the join button and becoming a member. So you're probably wondering, why would I do that? Well, when you do that, you get access to bonus content that I make every single week, and it's a lot of fun. You get custom emojis and more. If you join at tier 3, by the way, you even get access to a monthly member hangout with myself. And you'll get all that going forward, but you'll also unlock years of the back catalog that is literally 100 or more bonus clips and top 10 lists and debates and more. So what are you waiting for?